Hello, loves. How are you? There's multiple things that have been coming through. One with the Divine Masculine Collective, there's been a message of Divine Masculine and energy feeling that the comfortable uncomfortable is absolutely beginning to become unbearable. So the places and spaces where the masculines or any of us, feminines included in our masculine energy, had to find a space to stabilize at one point, and it worked for a time, is now no longer serving the next levels of our process. And so what was once comfortable is becoming exceedingly uncomfortable, and it's coming from shifts in the external environment. So whether it's your home, your job, your relationship, if it's no longer aligned with the new version of who you are, it seems to be being pushed on and becoming very uncomfortable and letting you know that it's no longer aligned with you, where you're headed, where you're meant to be. So this has been coming in quite significantly. I feel that many of us are experiencing a form of this because we all live on this planet. And as the foundational energies are in process of shifting, especially for the masculines, we're all going through a version of it. It's uncomfortable at times, but ultimately it is leading us where we are meant to be. I also, as I touched on Friday, the feminines are going through a deep rebirthing process of birthing of herself. And on my Patreon, I sort of touched in just with a post that many of the feminines may be feeling these waves of these gorgeous, like birthing the new energy, and then subsequently feeling waves and contractions of releasing the old creations. And it's really amazing how it's correlating with that vision that I saw back in December around the end of February, really birthing the new energies as a collective. So we had Mercury or Mars station direct yesterday, and that's in the sign of Cancer. I was not aware of this until the last day or two, that this energy is actually partly in what is pushing the masculines into the emotional states, where I touched on last week that the masculines are moving into the emotions, the feminines are moving into the physical more, sort of like flip-flopping, so that they can both expand into their next levels and layers and lessons in growth. So it always fascinates me when I learn that the actual like astrological and energetics are syncing up without me actually knowing specifically what is occurring in the astrological energies. I also found out, as I'm sure many of you know, on March 1st, we have Venus going into retrograde. So these energies of coupling the Mars in Cancer, masculines really deep in the emotional energies, and then coupling it with really a review of the relationship energies. And somewhere in there, Mercury goes retrograde, which that's always the times of review. There's lots of contemplative energies really homing in. What I have been feeling is a very deep thawing, especially in through the lower chakras. Some of you may be experiencing this feeling or memories, especially from the late teens to early 20s, really thawing out and coming back in. There's also this combo, like that retrieval of the magical energies, the youthful energies, but also a clearing out of any places or spaces where we froze off the energies or purposefully dissociated through distractions or even addictions, right? Like food, sex, drugs, drinking, any forms of numbing, which all in turn sort of supports this uncomfortable, comfortable feeling, right? So many humans deal with their discomforts or did in the past through numbing or finding ways to self-soothe or satisfy. But in many cases, it was often also just a form of settling for the current circumstances, even if they are very unhappy. And so I'm sensing that there is a very deep pocket of this thawing out. Of course, this also goes deeply into many ancestral lines. So it's sort of this layered pocket thawing of this life, inner child, inner teen, young adult. Okay. Moving into the ancestral systems, past life systems, and then anything that's occurring for you now in your environment that may be mirroring to you where these old patterns or stories are ready to dissolve out to make space for your new and next levels. So it feels that many of us are being shown where we are no longer comfortable, where we have grown to the point where we're no longer willing to settle, and where we're embodying into those standards and really ready to manifest and create and co-create, consciously create more of our new foundation. So many of you are going through pockets where you are established in your new foundation. And now what's happening is the next levels are sort of being pushed to the surface so you can strengthen into that foundation, birth more of the new energies. And then this allows the old stories and the old creations to be cleaned up. Again, you're not going to tear down your old house before your new one is built because you need a place to live. So as the new is built, we can go back and dissolve the old, you see? So this is a very deep process of what is happening. My sense is that there is a lot thawing, opening, and recalibrating, especially into the roots, sacral, and solar. There's quite a bit that is shifting. As you know, we've been talking here quite a bit about the forgiveness energy, the forgiveness for yourself, the forgiveness for your counterpart, the forgiveness for all that has ever been, the ancestors, the mother, the father, the past lives, the right, the wrongs, all of the things that we may have done or others did to us. Forgiveness for all of it. Okay. And I do have some spaces left for that teaching session, the forgiveness teaching session coming up March 1st. Ironically, you didn't know it when I did this, that it is the day that Venus retrograde starts. So, what a perfect time to drop in deeper into those forgiveness energies. Forgiveness is definitely a process. It's not something that you can fake it till you make it. You just work with it, okay? And you honor what you're feeling, you honor the experience, you learn the lessons, you build trust with yourself as you support yourself through it. And, again, I do feel that there's quite a bit that we're moving through with this, especially forgiveness with the self and for all that has been up until this point. Thinking about what I talked about with the teenage, early 20s, and maybe where we dissociated or checked out, or the ancestors dissociated or checked out, like really bringing in the forgiveness for yourself as you survived and did what you needed to do during that time. You did the best that you could, but also now you're ready to retrieve those parts of you and dissolve any of those residual energies that may be left in your cells and in your system. Okay. So again, that forgiveness teaching session is available. And for those of you who like the guided meditative recorded sessions I do, I have been guided to do one specifically around trust and forgiveness. And it's really dropping into the self-trust and restoring trust and forgiveness, obviously, first and foremost for yourself, and then allowing it to ripple out from there. Okay. Mm. Now, I do feel guided to pull a Priestess of Light card and go into a few of the Light Seers Tarot is what's coming through. So let's see what's going to be most beneficial. Calming the waters, peaceful self-regulation. So this is bringing me right into what I'm sensing. The layers that many of you may be feeling are where the masculine collective is thawing, where your own system is thawing, whether you're masculine or feminine, right? The general collective, where the ancestral energies are thawing. And some of these emotions or nervous systems issues might be coming up just to be calmed so that you can bring the results of what you've been learning into those places and spaces. Some of these energies have been quite intense. Like physically, you may be feeling symptoms. Emotionally, you may be feeling symptoms. I don't know about you. This weekend, there was a few days where I literally felt like almost like a zombie. Like I was present, but I was also like totally in between worlds at the same time, a lot of the weekend. So it feels that these things are thawing out and we're really being called to harness what we have learned to support ourselves, to support our nervous systems. If you are needing to slow down and take space to support yourself, especially physically, this feels important as it's part of where these energies are thawing out. And you have the opportunity to reparent those parts of yourself, to give yourself the nourishment and the nurturing that you may not have received or that your parents did not receive, where the ancestors didn't receive that because, of course, they could only provide us with what they had in their system. And so, really tapping into those higher energies and your own beautiful reserves of your higher energy and really nourishing and nurturing yourself. Let's see what else we have with this. Okay, so interesting. The devil energies came out, which makes sense. This is everything that we're talking about. The distraction, the dissociation, the settling, the comfortable, uncomfortable, sort of that lure into the numbing energies where you're suppressing what was uncomfortable, but you're just going into those suppressions of adding more discomfort on top of what was already uncomfortable. Beautifully, the next two cards that came out together were the Ten of Wands and the King of Cups. To me, this is speaking about where we are walking away. The masculines are walking away. The feminines are walking away from those old comforts that were actually uncomfortable and truly tapping back into this wealth of beautiful, nourishing soul essence that's being revived, regenerated, and restored. And what I sense with this is that it's coming from within, that self-regulation, that self-nurturing, that self-restoration, that rebirthing of your true essence, the reparenting of your own energies, the inner child, the inner teen, in just wherever you are now as you're birthing yourself into your new earth version, your human self coupled with your higher self, all of who you are, all of who you have always been, being able to come fully online, right? It's a process. We've learned this. But at the same time, what I'm sensing is that the thawing is The thawing and the warmth is really thawing the emotions. And then there's the focus on calming the waters, calming the emotions, clearing out the distortions and the distractions, realizing them and seeing them for what they actually are and how uncomfortable they're actually making you. Finally packing up, not running away, but learning whatever lessons are needed to be learned, packing up and retrieving yourself, relieving yourself from the fake, the false, the phony, and moving towards your own true energy and essence. Now, I know many of you have already been doing this, but if you're finding pockets of this coming up for you, again, this is right on schedule with where we are being restored. This is what we are retrieving so that we can move forward. You're not going backwards. This is the ascension evolution process. We can only retrieve so much of ourselves at once and embody and integrate so much at once. If these things are coming up, it's actually a sign that you have built the muscle to go to your next level. If that is one thing that I hope to support your system with, is that rewiring of the way that we perceive the uncomfortable. Because for so many generations, the uncomfortable was suppressed. And so, but it was still there. And it's why things have become so uncomfortable when we look at our planetary world. But what we are doing by building the new and then allowing ourselves to face and clear, thaw, unravel, and dissolve those old discomforts where they were suppressed, we are freeing ourselves in our consciousness so that we can actually truly be free of it. So when it comes up, it's because it is still present in your system and it is requiring your attention. It is not because you did something wrong. It's because you were brave enough and courageous enough to allow yourself to go through this process to free your consciousness into your sovereignty for yourself and for this planet. And yes, it's uncomfortable and at times frustrating. Let's keep it all the way real. We won't sugarcoat it and pretend that it's something that it's not. But on the other side, let's also honor how beautiful that feels when you come out the other side of it and you do feel the freedom and you do feel the prosperity and you do feel the levels that you are embodying and growing into. Remember that. Hold that. That is not lost to you. That is a part of who you are now. And nothing and no one can take that from you. So when the next levels of discomfort come up, boss it. You got this. It's not because you did something wrong. It's not because you're not good enough. It is because you are mastering this process in truly moving yourself into your sovereignty, taking responsibility for yourself, reparenting yourself, retrieving yourself, and holding yourself into the energy and essence that you have always deserved. Okay, my loves, this is beautiful. This is brave. This is the truth of moving into who you truly are. You are in this process of soul retrieval on a pretty daily basis. Okay? All right. Wow. All right. I'm going to pull one more. Let's just bring it all in together. I want to bring in a soothing message to support this process as you're thawing, retrieving, and moving from the comfortable into the true comfortable. There it is. Oh, wow. Wasp spirit. Sometimes life stings. Wow. I can feel the medicine that the wasp is bringing. And what is actually hitting me is where the sting of this wasp is actually the awakening. It's uncomfortable, but it's so interesting how I'm feeling it is sort of like that wake up call. Okay. Like, boom. Okay. We gotta come out of the comfortable numbness. And it might feel jolting for a moment. I know many of you have already experienced this, but I feel like this is what we're going to be seeing in the collective. In this wasp sting is actually coming through as a catalyst, as that wake up, as that like, oh my gosh, I've been in this like haze of confusion and chaos. And the sting is sort of like the jolt awake, and now I can see. Now I can see the truth. Guess that wasn't as soothing as I was hoping. Sorry for that. But okay, let's see. Can I bring in a soothing message? You know me. Yes. The healing waters. Let's see what we got. Gotta go with what comes. They won't even let me override it, right? I wanted to bring in the soothing, and they're like, nope, there's just some stuff that has to come up, but it's gonna bring us to where we are meant to be. All right. The sweet waters, sensuality, romance, enjoyment, fertility, balance. And that's what this feels like. It really, even like I said, the wasp didn't feel like a negative thing to me. It felt sort of like being snapped out of the dissociation, almost like, taking that first breath once you are born. It's scary, it's uncomfortable coming through the birth canal, but then there's like, and then you're in your body, right? And it's quite interesting how it's bringing us to the sweet waters. And I feel like this extreme is also significant. And that is a big part of what our higher selves want us to remember. It's like right before you're reaching everything it is that you're wanting, it can feel the most uncomfortable. That birthing process, that rebirthing, that thrust into life. It feels quite significant. I do feel like I'm going to leave this here. I also feel like I'm going to be coming on probably soon with the next levels of this. I'm probably going to drop in deeper on Patreon today and diving into what might be opening up with more of this. I will keep you guys posted with whatever sessions or videos or whatever I post. I do have a few sessions available left for this week if any of you feel called. I will put all of my information in the pinned comment. Again, beautiful work. If it's been intense, seems to be the energies, but it also is as we are preparing to move into sweeter days ahead. All right, my loves. Hope you have a beautiful rest of your day and found this helpful. As always, I would love to hear from you if you're guided. Much love. Take care. Bye.